Hey, race fans, it's race day, top 5, with me, Frank 5. How many more back-to-back finishes like that can we get in NASCAR this season? That's why this NASCAR season has been so much fun to watch. Because of great racing and exciting finishes. These are the glory days of NASCAR. We're getting it back on track. And the Magic Mile, as boring as it's been over the years, with the exception of last year, produced a great finish once again. And a winless streak for Stewart-Haas is done. Is done. Is done. Is done. Is done. Number 1, Kevin Harvick and Stewart-Haas Racing, the winless streak, done. Ended it today at New Hampshire, winning the Foxwoods Resort Casino 301 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and a frantic battle towards the end with Denny Hamlin for the win over Hamlin, Eric Jones, Ryan Blaney, and Matt DiBenedetto. Kevin Harvick, it's unbelievable. At this point last season, he had 6 wins. This season, up until today, 0 wins. Where in the world, they had fast cars, but they couldn't seal the deal? What's wrong with Kevin Harvick and Stewart-Haas Racing? Today, Kevin Harvick just played a great race, and Ronnie Childers made a great call keeping out on the last caution in the race when Kyle Larson, no surprise, based on his season's been, crashing. Harvick held off Denny Hamlin on old tires and a frantic last lap battle to the end. Harvick leading on the white flag lap, Hamlin on the back bumper. I was about to see what Harvick did to Kyle was last year, but it was not on the last lap. It was about with 5 or 3 laps to go. Hamlin rooted Harvick out of the way, and I felt like, with Hamlin with 2 fresh tires, I'm like, that's it. It's done. He's going to win the race. Harvick fought back on the outside, and going into 3, he changed his lane, running the bottom of the racetrack instead of at the top. If he had chosen the top, the 11 car was probably going to root him out of the way. Harvick had a good entry into the corner on the bottom. It looked like he was going to hold him off. And then Hamlin comes rolling around the top, and they duke side by side. But Harvick gets the better of Denny Hamlin. A big day for Kevin Harvick and his little son, Keelan. He got to kiss that lobster trophy that you win after winning at New Hampshire. A great event. It wasn't really one of the best New Hampshire races, but it was definitely a very solid finish. And some good racing on the restarts as well. And Kevin Harvick just did everything right today. Him and Ronnie Childers back on top. They're in the playoffs. They were going to make the playoffs anyway. They had about a 200-point cushion before the day started as far as points with no wins. Now, with the stage wins, that's 4, and playoff win, that's 5. 9 points for Kevin Harvick going to the playoffs. They're back on track. Number 2, Denny Hamlin in a backup car after crashing the car in first practice on Friday. Took the backup car, drove to the front, had a very solid car, obviously, probably the most dominant car of the day, and almost got Kevin Harvick, a little bit upset in his interview, and he accidentally dropped an expletive, which, for NBC and TV regulations, we apologize for that language from Hamlin, but, that's what happens when you come close to finishing second. That wins right there, right in your grasp. You just let slip right through your fingers. But, you can't blame Denny Hamlin for not trying. He gave it everything he could on those 2 tires to chase down Kevin Harvick. Number 3, Eric Jones. Oh my goodness, this guy. As much as Denny Hamlin had a dominant day, Eric Jones had an eventful day, to say the very least. Penalty around the first pit stop of the race, contact with the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse forcing the wall, and Stenhouse said some pretty harsh words to Jones. He'll get his again because they've been in a couple tussles this year. Take, for example, earlier this year at Las Vegas. And then Eric Jones had a controversial call towards the end of the race, the last pit stop. He elected not to pit, but the car went over the orange box on pit road, the entry, and you're not supposed to go over it. But the rule, according to NASCAR, is as long as the right side tires are outside and they don't touch the orange box, and the yellow inside tires are the left side tires on the inside, and they are not touching the orange box, it's no penalty whatsoever. It's pretty complicated, I get it, but thankfully Eric Jones was able to avoid a penalty, get a top 3 finish out of it, and because of all the points he gained today in the strong run, he's back in the top 16 in points. It's about 28-point cushion going into the next race. I think that's what it was, as points and everything. But Eric Jones looks like he's going to make the playoffs, but nothing's guaranteed until Indianapolis. Number 4, Matt DiBenedetto. Levine Family Racing is getting their act together, people, and I like Matt DiBenedetto. At the beginning of the season, a big opportunity to drive for Levine Family Racing with a Toyota Racing alliance with Joe Gibbs Racing. Dominated the Daytona 500. Probably should have won the race till he got caught up in a big wreck. Then have gone on a downhill. But Sonoma has seen the turnaround and how the Levine Family Racing team is starting to become a top 10, top 15 contender. Top 5 at Sonoma, honoring Darrell Waltrip. Not so really good outing at Chicagoland. Top 10 at Daytona because they run well and plus they dodged the big wreck. A top 20 last week in Chicagoland, 16th place. That's not bad. And a 5th place today. But this was no slouch. They were fast all weekend. Levian Family Racing brought their best to the track this weekend. Could Matt DiBenedetto win his first race and play a big spoiler as far as who's going to make the playoffs? We shall see. We shall see. Nothing's guaranteed until you get in the victory circle. And number 5, Hendrick Motorsports probably had a weekend to forget with so much. Oh my goodness. Alex Bowman in qualifying broke the drive shaft, never got to complete a lap, sent to a backup car. First practice of Saturday, William Byron crashes into the wall. Final practice, Alex Bowman crashed his backup into the wall. So they had to get Jimmy Johnson's backup car from the Jimmy Johnson hauler and put all the decals around Bowman's car on the 48 car. And then in the race, Chase Elliott, water pressure issues, and I'll make that in my driver update. We have water pressure issues with the engine. We finished 29th. We did finish the race 11 laps down. Jimmy had a pretty good run. Then he lost power steering, and that's really difficult, especially today. And it was hot. It was almost 100 degrees today. And it was like 120 degrees in the cars. These guys are total athletes. I mean, total weekend to forget for Hendrick Motorsports, but, you know, they'll push on hopefully from down the road. A really hot day, obviously. I hope everybody stayed hydrated at the race. I hope all the drivers were hydrated because it was scorching hot. And not just up there, the entire East Coast has been hot this weekend. So New Hampshire wasn't the only one getting all the heat this weekend. So upcoming is the Tricky Triangle, round 2 of the Tricky Triangle. And hopefully with the PJ1 substance on the track, we can make it a very competitive race compared to where it was in June, where it was basically flat out dominated by Kyle Busch. Will we see another first-time winner? Will somebody jumble up the point standings? Will the guys below the cut line, Jimmy Johnson, Daniel Suarez, find a way to get some points and make up for the ones that got away today? Or will somebody in the top 16 capitalize with a win or a solid points day? We shall find out. So subscribe, like, congratulations to Happy Harvick. He's back in Victory Circle. Stewart-Haas Racing is back on the map, and I'll see you next weekend.